Good morning! With the 0.3 patch for POE2's early access announced and the patch notes revealed, it is now only 7 days left until the launch of the Third Edict. Since my anticipation and hype levels are reaching unbearable levels in these final days, I wanted to do this quick summary video of 5 things to be excited for in the new POE2 patch. So let's just get right into it, and the first point on this list is going to be Act 4 new bosses and areas. With the 0.3 patch, one of the first things that was basically confirmed even before the announcement was the introduction of Act 4. In this act, we will journey to Kingsmarch and visit all the island areas it has to offer. A key difference in this act, as opposed to the others that we have gone through so far, is that the players can choose their own journey and decide for themselves in what order to complete all the objectives the Kingsmarch areas have to offer. We are also getting 3 interlude acts with additional 19 areas and 12 more bosses. The biggest thing to be excited for here is, in my opinion, the variety this not only provides for your campaign playthroughs, but also the implications this has for the resulting endgame content and its diversity. 24 new bosses, new endgame maps and monster types just from Act 4, and the interlude acts just mean so much more variation in the actual endgame content we are going to encounter as well. And this doesn't even include the newly introduced league mechanic. Well, speaking of that, number 2 on this list of things to be excited for in 0.3, who would have guessed the new league mechanic, Rise of the Abyssal? In my opinion, this is probably the best league mechanic that could have been introduced in POE2 at this stage of the game's early access. The Abyss League mechanic will have multitudes of different ways on how it will affect the players when it comes to their endgame experiences. Not only does it add a fun and challenging mechanic to all of the waystones we are going to be doing, transforming monsters into mighty abyssal creatures or map bosses into, as Mark said it, giga larvae creatures. It also provides us with a new crafting currency, like the gnawed jawbone, which gives us the ability to imbue a rare item with a veiled modifier, which we can then choose to add to the item. This not only improves itemization in the endgame, but also during campaign, giving us player much more agency when it comes to itemization and optimization of our characters, even during our campaign playthrough. There are so many other things to this league mechanic I don't even have time to thoroughly mention here in this video, like the new boss encounters, new Abyss unique items, a new unique jewel that functions in a similar way to the heroic tragedy jewel, and lineage support gems. And that brings us to point number 3 on this list of things to be excited for in the Third Edict, and that is the new support gem system and the before mentioned lineage support gems. The probably biggest change in the system from the 0.2 to the upcoming 0.3 patch is the removal of only being able to slot in 1 support gem for any skill on your character. Now you can have the strongest support gems in any of your skills, and you are not limited to pick and choose between skills and which supports to slot them in. We actually discussed this topic on our podcast a few weeks ago before this change was revealed, and back then I was not really a proponent of this system to be the case, because I kind of thought that this would have a negative effect on build variety and the unique expression of certain build setups. But I have to say my opinion has definitely shifted on this topic, especially with the introduction of 3 different tiers of support gems and the unique lineage support gems. Especially the latter have me incredibly excited to check out all 40 of them and see how build defining some of them can be. We have so far only seen a fraction of them, and it is safe to say some of them look absolutely crazy. Okay, next thing I am extremely happy about in the upcoming update is the changes to the crafting system, especially the improvement of determinism when it comes to crafting items in POE2. Not only do we now get the before mentioned abyss crafting methods with veiled modifiers, but now we have actually deterministic essences in different tier levels to use on our items as well. With these, you can now actually choose a specific modifier as opposed to having it rolled randomly depending on the essence used. Another huge change to the crafting is the introduction of different tiers of all of our crafting currencies as well. Transmutes, regals, exiles, and chaos orbs all now have new versions that can guarantee a minimum level of modifiers when used on our items. Overall, I think this is going to heavily impact the whole approach of many players of how to obtain gear and min-max their characters, because as opposed to always just acquire your upgrades through trade, there is now a multitude of different ways to obtain gear upgrades through these deterministic crafting methods. This effect is of course heavily amplified for all the SSF players especially, who now also have a plethora of more currency to upgrade their gear with. Speaking of currency, last point on my list of things to be excited for is the new trade system. We actually also talked about this on one of our podcast episodes, and Miso pretty much exactly called the system we are now getting here in the 0.3 patch. We now have the option to have a new trader merchant in our hideout with which we can list our items for sale without having to actively trade, be in the game, or even online. This asynchronous trade is what many people have been asking for a while now, and well, now we have it. I think this is going to have insanely huge implications for Trade League of magnitudes. I don't even know if I could be able to grasp them now in a video like this, but overall I think this change is just one of the best they could have made for the future of this game, and it is just something that I think was received as an absolute net positive by a large majority of the community. And let's just say that does not happen a lot. Okay, that is going to be it for this video. Let me know in the comments, what are you most excited for in the upcoming league? What are your plans? Over the coming few days before launch, I will be working on possible league starters on my stream. So if you want to join in on the theory crafting, check out the link to my Twitch in the description of this video. Other than that, I will be doing a big 0.3 launch event on my stream there as well. So safe to say, it will be an exciting few weeks. Okay, thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one. Love you. Bye.